Greetings everyone. Today our topic is related to IELTS speaking skills sample questions. So let's have a look on each section and the type of the questions they will be asking you in your speaking skills test. First is introductory questions. They can ask you a question like this, or they can greet you first. Hello dear, can I have your ID or passport? Then how you can answer them, you can tell them, here you go. This is my ID, you may have a look. Then they can ask you, what's your name? Or they'll be asking you about your name. Then you can mention your name. The third question could be the meaning of your name. So you can start your answer in a way with the help of the characters. With the small characters, we have connectors which is made up of two phrases as well. So we will discuss these things towards the end of this lesson or maybe in the next lesson. So honestly speaking, I'm not certain about the exact meaning, but online dictionary referred this name to be a gorgeous lady or whatever the meaning of your name is. Then they can ask you about your belonging, from where you belong or where you're from. You can answer it in a way, well, I'm born and raised here. It can be your capital, it can be your province, or it can be any city of your country. You can mention the name of the area, the location where you are residing these days. So that's all you can answer about about yourself. Then they can ask you, what do you do for work? So, well, I'm currently affiliated with one of the prestigious institution of my country. You can mention the name of that institution, and I'm working there as a whatever is your designation, your job, then you can mention it there. So, what are your job responsibilities? They can further ask you about this question as well. So, well, being a it can be a teacher, it can be a doctor, it can be any profession, anything. So, and one more thing I want to add up here, they're not gonna to, find it out that whether you are a teacher or not. That is a speaking skills test. So mainly you will be judged upon your pronunciation, your accuracy, the grammar which you're using. So they're not gonna to find it out whether you are truly belong to that profession or not. So then further on you can move ahead that my responsibilities are to deliver lectures to the students and I actively participates in co-curricular affairs as well like managing speech competitions and debates, etc. So these are all the introductory questions, and most of the time these are the question where they will be asking you in the first section or first part of the speaking skills test. So in part one, if they're asking about your musical instruments, first was introductory, and now this is the part one, the actual question answer session. So part one is introductory, which is directly related to yourself, and the part one is if they're asking about the musical instruments, so they will be asking you such sort of the questions like which instrument do you like listening to most and why. So whenever you are providing your answer, you just have to state or mention the reason that if you like this thing, why you like this thing. If you dislike this thing, why you dislike this thing. And if you have this sort of the opinion, so what's the reason of holding that opinion. So these are the things which is mandatory for your answers during speaking skills. So second question can be, have you ever learned to play a musical instrument and which one? So when you are mentioning the name of that musical instrument, and you need to mention why you like that instrument. Do you think children should learn to play music instrument at school? Why or why not? If your answer is yes, then you must have to mention why you are having this perception, and if not, then why you are having this sort of the perception. And how easy would it be to learn to play an instrument without a teacher, and why? So why it's difficult to learn or to play an instrument without a teacher and with a teacher. So you don't need to just exaggerate very long your answers in this section, but still you need to mention the reasons. So while having your IELTS book, when you open it in the speaking section, you have different sample of the questions. You can refer it to that as well, and then you can prepare it in a good way. In part two, we can see that part two is describe something healthy you enjoy doing. So you should say what you do, where you do it, who you do it with, and explain why you think doing this is healthy. So you'll have to talk about the topic for 2 minutes. You have 1 minute to think about what you are going to say, and you can make notes to help if you wish. So basically, part two is related to the cue cards, where you will be provided with one question on any particular topic, and they will be providing with few rubric points which you need to mention and cover it in your answer. So they will be also providing you with a piece of paper and a pen or pencil where you are supposed to mention the important details of your answer, or you can prepare your answer. So there is one hint. What you can do is you can just make a you can say that make four rubrics, make four bullet points, and cover each bullet point answer there. For example, you should say what you do. Whatever you do, you just write it in the first bullet. So doing this way, in the second bullet, write down your answer in the form of, again, I would suggest you to write it in the form of the phrases instead of full sentences, because for the preparation you just have only 1 minute. Where you do it, just mention that thing. Who you do it with, mention that as well, and explain why you think doing this is healthy. It can be exercise, it can be any sort of your hobby, it can be anything. While doing this, you are also saving your time, and you are also making a proper coherence and cohesion in your answer. And how you will need to start your answer, basically you should start it with the help of the connector. As I said, we will discuss all the details related to the connectors, the short connectors and the long connectors later on. So after completing your first minute for the preparation of your answer on that piece of paper, they're not supposed to take that piece of paper from you at that moment until or unless you are finishing your answer. So once you have finished describing your answer for the 2 minutes, so you have 2 minutes duration to talk about that particular topic, then later on they can take it back from you. And then we have they have a timer. I wanted to mention this thing, that they have a stopwatch with them, and they you are not supposed to exceed from 2 minutes. And once try to cover your answer within 2 minutes, and if not, then it doesn't make any difference. They're going to mention it to you. They're going to sometimes people get hesitated that why they have stopped me and why they move towards the next question, because when your time duration or limit is over, they are supposed to switch to the next question. So you don't need to get worried related to that thing. In part three, the discussion topics. So mainly whatever the cue card is related to, the part three discussion topic is related to that cue card. They can further ask you question related to that topic, which is a two-way discussion. So another name for part three is a two-way discussion. So basically they'll be asking, it's an interview sort of a session. So keeping fit and healthy. For example, if there are, so I didn't mention all those question related to that particular cue card. These questions are a little bit different. So in order to provide you with another different, you can say, topic or knowledge or information, so keeping fit and healthy, they can ask you related to it, and here are a few example questions, like what do most people do to keep fit in your country. So you can answer it with the help of the long connectors. First you need to mention that long connector, and then you need to mention your answer. How important is it for people to do some regular physical exercise? So you need to mention the importance of it. Health and modern lifestyles. They can ask you, why do some people think that modern lifestyles are not healthy? So you are supposed to come with the valid answers and good vocabulary as well. Your diction is very important. So why do some people choose to lead unhealthy lives? So again, with the help of the long connector, you are supposed to present your answer to them. So should individuals or governments be responsible for marking people's lifestyle, lifestyle is healthy. So again, you are supposed to come up with a good answer, and what could be done to encourage people to live in a healthy way. That is another question which they can be asking you. So part one, your friends. Do you prefer to have one particular friend or a group of friends? Why? So they can ask you related to this. So basically, I have mentioned different sort of the questions, and in order to provide a sample question. So in this section, like they can be asking you, do you prefer to have one particular friend or a group of friends? So if your answer is one particular friend or a group of friend, so you just have to mention this reason as well, as we have discussed it earlier in the part one previous questions. So what do you like doing most with your friends? Whatever you like, going out for the shopping and studying together in the library or whatever is this, you are supposed to mention it, but keep it in mind, you are not supposed to mention it in the form of the phrases. It could be a full-fledged answer. So do you think it's important to keep in contact with the friends? Why or why not? And beside it, one more thing I wanted to mention over here, that the IELTS examiners, they used to prefer not simple sentences. They used to prefer compound and complex or compound complex sentences in your answers. So try to focus on that. And if you don't know the difference between the compound complex sentences, so you can refer to my lessons in the grammar section in the playlist. You can search for it and you can have it. What makes a friend into a good friend? So what are the qualities or characteristics you would love and you are searching in a friend, or you like in a friend, you adore in a friend? So you need to mention all these things. And beside it, again, I wanted to add one more thing. Don't try to use one vocabulary, one language, one word again and again. They prefer you people to use different vocabulary every time. Whenever you are writing in it, you are mentioning it in your essay, you are doing it in your writing session, or even if you are in speaking skills, they used to prefer the good vocabulary which you are using, but you are supposed to avoid the repetition of your vocabulary and your sentences and your phrases. So we have part two. Over here, describe an important choice you had to make in your life. So this is related to the cue card. Part two is related to the cue card. You should say when you had to make this choice and what you had to choose between, whether you made a good choice, and explain how you felt when you were making this choice. So again, the same thing. You will have to talk about the topic 2 minutes. You have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can make notes to help you if you wish. So this is entirely up to you, but everyone prefers and suggests that you should make notes. So in order to avoid fumble during speaking, in order to avoid, you can say, hesitation, the pauses, so it's better to jot down your ideas so you'll not forget it during your speaking session. Part three, again, we have a discussion topic, which is a two-way discussion. Here we have some example questions, important choices in your life. What are the typical choices people make at different stages of their lives? Should important choices be made by parents rather than by young adults? Why do some people like to discuss choices with other people? So you just need to mention the reasons. And choices in everyday life. What kind of choices do people have to make in their everyday life? Why do some people choose to do the same things every day? Are there any disadvantages to this? So they can be asking you sort of the questions. Do you think that people today have more choices to make than in the past? Like what sort of the choices do they have? They are allowed to select the field of their study. They're allowed to select the desired profession they wanted to move ahead with, or anything in their life. So how they are liberal now in their choices, and why they were not allowed to do it in the past and now they're allowed to do it in the present. So whenever whatever the ideas comes in your mind, so you just have to quickly answer the required question there, and you are not supposed to mention it with the help of the pauses, with the help of the hesitations, because they want you to be very confident, and they are judging you based on their body language as well. Again, part one, part two, and part three, different parts with the different sample questions. In part one, so before part one, you have an introductory session as we have discussed, and all the questions will be the same for introductory section. Part one is different, part two, cue card, and part three is the two-way discussion. So again, we have a sample of questions for part one. So traffic where you live, they can ask you related to that topic. And how do most people travel to work where you live, they can be asking you related to this. And you need to mention whether they are preferring the buses or why they are preferring it, and if they have their own automobiles or the cars, so you need to mention that as well. And what traffic problems are there in your area, so why you have such sort of the problems, you need to mention it first, mention the problem, then why you are having such sort of the problem in your area, and how do traffic problems affect you personally, so you need to mention that. And how would you reduce the traffic problems in your area, and it's entirely your choice, like how you can reduce it, you can mention those reasons, and those you can say elements, and in this way you can complete your answer. So again, we have part two. You can, for example, if they'll be giving you a cue card, and it's mentioned there that describe a game or sport you enjoy playing. So what you are supposed to say about it, they are again mentioning it in the question. So it's a part of a question, that what kind of game or sport it is, and who you play it with, and where you play it, and explain why you enjoy playing it. So again, we have four things to answer for this. You like what kind of the game or sport it is, mention that, who you play it with, second point, and where you play it, this the third point, and explain why you enjoy playing it, this is the fourth point. So you need to answer, you need to cover in your answer all these 4 points, otherwise your marks will be deducted if you will miss even a single bullet. So your marks will be definitely reduced or deducted for it. So you'll have 2 minutes for the topic, for this topic to talk about, and 1 minute for the preparation. So in total you have 3 minutes for this section of the speaking skills test. So in part three, the discussion topic can be on children's games. Example questions are mentioned over here. How have games changed from the time when you were a child? And do you think this has been a positive change? Why? So, in the first question, how have games changed from the time when you were a child? So, in the past, obviously, we had a lot of outdoor games. Now, people are the children, they used to prefer the indoor games on the online games or anything, whatever it comes in your mind. So, try to just mold it in a good way, frame and construct your answer in a very good way, so the examiner should consider that you are very well prepared and just left no section blank, or don't provide any gap from which your marks could be deducted. So do you think this has been a positive change? Why? If you believe that it's a positive change, that you need to mention the reason that why you think it's a positive change, and why do you think children like playing games. So this is another tricky question, that if they do like this, like playing games, that particular game which you have mentioned, why do you think children like playing games, or that particular game, you can mention that even in your answer in order to modify it in a good way. So games and competition. Furthermore, they can be asking you about, do you think competitive games are good or bad for children? In what ways? So you can mention that they teach them, you can say, patience, teamwork. So you can mention all these good points in your answer. Not in the form of the phrases, but obviously in the form of a good compound complex or compound complex sentence, provided with the help of uh, the connectors. And in part 3 you are supposed to use the long connectors instead of the short connectors. So how can games sometimes help to unite people? So what are the elements required there, and how it unite people? So you need to mention that in your answer as well. And why is competition often seen as important to today's society? Why the competition is important? Because everybody wants to do perfection is there, or which sort of the ideology is in your mind, or whatever is your perception, whatever you observe in your society or in the recent times, you are supposed to mention that. And you are open in your answer, you're open in your choice. So it's an open-ended question. You can mention any particular good answer in for this question. So this is the car strategy. Basically, whenever you are answering you can say the first part or the second part, or even the third part of your speaking skills test, so you are supposed to use the car strategy. What is a car strategy? Because C stands for connector. So you can mention connectors. It can be long connectors, it can be short connectors. Like, honestly speaking, according to my perception, well, as per my ideology, these are all the connectors which you can use in your answers. So your answers, A is stands for answer. It could be the real one. Make it amend your answer in a way that the examiner believe that this is the real answer, instead of the fabricated one. So you need to present your answer in that way. So R stands for the reason, due to the fact. You can mention the reason in this way. Because for car strategy, whenever you are answering that question, car strategy means first you need to mention the connector, then your actual answer, if you like that thing or not, then reason that why you like or dislike that thing. So this is the car strategy which you are supposed to follow in your answering the questions of the speaking skills test. And you can follow it in any section of the speaking skills test. So for the cue card domains, we have 5 particular or main domains. The first one is the personality, second is the media, third is the nature, and fourth is the professional, and fifth is the personal domain. So if they're asking you about or related to the cue cards, so majorly and mostly they will be asking you from these 5 domains. If they're asking about any personality, that personality could be your friend. They can ask you about your friend, your friendship, how you met, and all such bullet points which I have discussed. So they can be asking about any actor, why you like the work of that actor, the name of that actor, since how long you are following that actor, or anything like this. Then author, they can ask you about any cook, any driver, celebrity, it could be any hero, about any talkative person. And if they're asking about the media, so it can be a film, a book, a novel. They can be asking you about any particular article or any article, random article. They can be asking about any website, any program, signboard, or anything. And these all elements are related to the media. If they're asking about the website and for bullet points related to it, means for minor questions related to that, so it is again connected with the media. And if they are providing you the cue card related to the nature, so they can be asking you something related to the park, related to the garden, any theme park in your resident area, or any forest, and can be related to any waterfall, any island, or any ocean. So it can be any particular ocean, it can be any specific one, it can be any general one. And if they're asking you about any professional, so it can be professional related domain. So it can be any online meeting, it can relate it to be any seminar, it can be related to any conference dealing, it can be related to any appointment agency, it can be related to a doctor, a teacher, or any transaction, it can be related to any such thing. So, and if it's related to a personal domain, it can be any skill, it can be related to the time, it can be related to any accident, any event, any achievement, your dream, any other person's dream, and related to any goal, related to a weather, it could be related to anything. If you wanted to refer to the previous thing, how you need to prepare before your exam, all the lessons are uploaded in my YouTube channel. You just have to go and search in the playlist, and you can find that particular lesson. So I hope you have enjoyed this lesson, and I hope that all these points will help you out in your speaking skills test. Don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel for further updates related to the IELTS topic, grammar topic, English grammar, and English learning lessons. Thank you.